So, now that you know the basics, let's talk about IPv6 for your network. IPv6 network address planning. That's where you should start. Let's talk about the different network sizes. The minimum allocation of RARs to LIRs, that's providers, is a /32. And the allocation from LIRs to end users is mostly /48. It's still a lot of addresses. And for client networks, you should always use a /64 because remember, you need a /64 to use SLAC. That's stateless address auto configuration. If you need that or if you don't, doesn't matter, always use a /64 for client networks. In IPv4, you might have calculated how many hosts do you have. Do I need a /24? Do I need a /23? Or maybe I need a /27? This doesn't matter with IPv6. You always use a /64. Don't even count how many hosts that is. It's more than enough, but you should not make it smaller. For transfer networks between two routing devices or a switch and a router, always use a /127. Remember, IPv6 is 128 bits, so that means a /127 has exactly two addresses. You can also use a larger network like a /126 if you want to use NHRPs, next hop redundancy protocols, or you have multiple nodes that need to be on the same segment. But don't use a /64 on transfer networks. /64 is for clients, /127 or 126 is for transfer. Your whole organization will probably get a /48, and also if you're a private customer, you also probably will get a /48. This is the standard network sizes. So you might ask, why should I use a /127 with only two nodes when I have a transfer network? Well, a lot of people were asking that. There was a discussion for years. There were two major opinions. Opinion A, we use /64 with all networks. I don't care how many hosts they have. We have enough addresses. We don't need to save them. Let's use /64. Option B was, let's not waste addresses. We can use a single /64 for all the transfer networks in the organization. Well, finally, we have a standard with RFC 6164. The title is Using 127-bit IPv6 prefixes on inter-router links. And this is the new standard and it should be used. Don't use a larger network unless you need it. You might think, okay, if I use the first network, this is : so the 0 network, there is subnet router anycast. Well, this is deactivated on /127 links, so we don't have a problem. You can use the first network : the first address is 0 and the second address is 1 inside this specific prefix. You can use it, not a problem. Another design thing is, should you use link local or unique local addresses or global addresses for your infrastructure? There is an advantage of using link local or unique local addresses. Routing protocols use link local anyway, and your infrastructure would not be reachable from the outside, which means nobody can attack it from the outside. That's a good thing. But the disadvantage is, there is no traceroute possible, you have no visibility. If you do a traceroute from the outside and you have addresses on the inside that are not routed, then you cannot see the hops, you can only see asterisks. And also, there is no path MTU discovery possible, which might be a problem for most of the applications. The other disadvantage is you cannot manage your infrastructure from the outside. Okay, if you use a VPN to connect to the inside, you're still able to access, but if you don't, you're locked out.